Boris Johnson in Odesa, new rules for receiving aid for Ukrainians from the Polish government. And what gifts did Prince Harry leave Kyiv with? These and other topics today on TSN Online. I'm Valeria Kovalinska. Welcome. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, watch the broadcast, and be sure to comment on what you found most interesting. Russians are getting into Kupiansk in the Kharkiv region through a gas pipeline. This was reported by analysts from the DeepState portal. Enemy public channels are spreading videos showing their soldiers moving through the pipeline on improvised devices. DeepState experts remind us that the enemy has already used gas pipelines as tunnels in Avdiivka and Sudzha. The entrances to the pipeline leading to Kupiansk are reportedly located in the area of Lyman-Pershi, and the exits are in Radkivka. Such a journey through the pipeline can last up to 4 days, and President Zelensky, after a report from Commander-in-Chief Syrsky, announced that the Russian offensive operation in the Sumy region has been thwarted by the Ukrainian armed forces. Fighting continues in the border area. Meanwhile, the defense forces are narrowing the salient that formed near Dobropilya as a result of the Russian troops' breakthrough. The villages of Volodymyr, Pankivka, Mayak and Novotoretske. In the Pokrovsk direction, these are gradually coming under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. Counteroffensive actions are ongoing. Although the enemy is trying to prevent this, the occupiers have increased the number of kamikaze drones attacking our logistics and assault groups. This is especially true near Pokrovsk, where the front line is now moving most actively. According to fresh data from the General Staff, there were 183 combat engagements on the front line over the past day. Air Defense Forces neutralized 137 out of 164 enemy drones. Missile and drone strikes were recorded at 9 locations, and debris fell at 3 more sites. The enemy launched an Iskander ballistic missile and Shahed and Gerbera-type UAVs from the directions of Kursk, Orel, Bryansk, Milerovo, and Primorsko-Akhtarsk. The air attack was repelled by aviation, anti-aircraft missile troops, electronic warfare and unmanned systems units, mobile fire groups, and the defense forces of Ukraine. The occupiers carried out more than 500 strikes on Zaporizhia. A 38-year-old woman was injured. There is destruction in 19 settlements in the region. In Yampil, Torske and Kramatorsk, 5 civilians were injured. Russian troops attacked Donetsk region 25 times. Kostiantynivka was shelled with Smerch rockets. 5 apartment buildings and 17 private houses were damaged. 6 people were injured in the Kherson region, including a 23-year-old policewoman. In the morning, the occupiers shelled the regional center with artillery, wounding 2 local women. A little earlier, a Russian drone attacked the suburbs. A man was injured. 2 more people required hospitalization the day before after a drone strike in the region. There are casualties in the Sumy region due to a strike drone hitting a truck. A man was injured in the Mykolaiv village community. In Sumy, drones set fire to an industrial zone and killed a man. In total, over the past day, the Russians struck the region 100 times. 20 glide bombs and 40 different drones targeted cities and villages. 8 private houses were destroyed and the same number were damaged. 45 cars were damaged. 2 people were wounded in the Dnipropetrovsk region. The occupiers struck Sinelnikivsky district with glide bombs. A private house, a combine harvester and an administrative building caught fire. Meanwhile, Nikopol was hit by FPV drones and artillery. 3 apartment buildings and a church were damaged. Evacuation in the Sumy region. 2 women and their 20 pets were evacuated by law enforcement from the border Myropil community. The people and their animals barely managed to wait for rescue under heavy enemy fire. A rescue group of white angels arrived for them in a volunteer evacuation vehicle. Near the house, the police discovered an unexploded mortar shell that could have detonated at any moment. There was also a threat of Russian shelling. The women were evacuated along with all their belongings and livestock. Mostly, these were cats and dogs. In the footage of the rescue operation, you can see a police officer literally carrying an elderly woman in his arms to the car. And likewise, he carefully helps her out of it. Borscht seasoning, a bottle of sparkling wine, and a gift for Meghan, his wife. These are the presents Prince Harry took with him from Kyiv after his first trip to the Ukrainian capital. At the train station, the Duke of Sussex was given a warm send-off, and restaurateur Yevhen Klopotenko presented the prince with borscht seasoning. Ivana Poperezhnyuk, founder of the charitable project Team of Magicians, gave him a brass ornament shaped like a tomato in a small jug, made from opishnya clay. This is a gift for Harry's wife, Meghan. And from restaurateur Harry Ditkovska, Harry received a bottle of champagne, which had been raffled off by guests at her establishment. The money from that auction was donated to Ukrainian hospitals. In Kyiv, Princess Diana's younger son had a busy day. At Independence Square, Harry visited the memorial to the fallen. The prince also visited the site of one of the largest missile strikes in Kyiv, where the Russians destroyed half of a building. Harry saw with his own eyes the aftermath of a missile attack on the government building. And the Duke of Sussex, who himself served in the military, also met with nearly 500 Ukrainian defenders. He answered their questions. In particular, he stated that he wants to do everything possible to help the recovery of veterans of the war for independence. A video of Harry's informal conversation also appeared online. In particular, he congratulated veteran Ivan and his fiancée Solomia on their wedding, which they are celebrating today.
Are you also getting married tomorrow? Do you always have weddings on weekends? Well, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you known each other?
9 years.
9 years? Well, are you actually flying in for this? Are you really truly flying in then?
And she said yes?
Yes.
Are you flying in? Yes. This week, a large number of foreign delegations and official representatives from the United States, Finland, Poland, France, and many other countries visited Kyiv. The main goal is to unite efforts for a just peace in the Russian-Ukrainian war and to establish cooperation for Ukraine's prosperity. Why does Volodymyr Zelensky want the US President's special envoy, Keith Kellogg, to visit Ukraine more often? Next, TSN correspondent Olena Matsiutska will tell you more.
The summit of First Ladies and Gentlemen has started for the 5th time in Kyiv. Guests from 6 countries have arrived, the spouses of world leaders from the civilized world. This is not just a shadow. It's a mission focused on humanitarian issues. Therefore, the theme of this summit is education. In times of war, participants say, it is one of the keys to the nation's survival.
The right to education, to go to school, to attend university, to develop oneself. Unfortunately, we also have to do this now. We have to physically protect ourselves every day.
I'm simply amazed at how you are coping with such a difficult situation. Yes, it's important for children to be supported.
It was in the city of Kyiv that the president of Finland, Olena Utubi, briefly met with his wife. Together with Volodymyr Zelensky, they held important talks on European security and integration, transatlantic relations, and sanctions pressure on Russia, as well as steps towards achieving a lasting and sustainable peace.
Security in Europe can only be the result of, undoubtedly, through joint actions by Europeans and cooperation between Europe and global players, primarily with America. We are working together for this, and in my opinion, quite effectively.
It is absolutely clear that Ukraine bears the greatest responsibility for its own security. No one denies this, but together with the United States, a coalition of willing countries supports Ukraine in strengthening deterrence against possible new threats.
Attacks, and undoubtedly, in my opinion, Russia underestimates the unity and measures being taken. And also, on Thursday, the special representative of the US President, Keith Kellogg, arrived in the capital. The visit of Trump's special representative took place against the backdrop of rising tensions in the Eastern European region. The President of Ukraine and Keith Kellogg discussed steps to achieve peace and security guarantees for Ukraine. Kellogg himself. Since his last visit, Ukrainians have jokingly called him the main air defense of the capital, the dome over Ukraine, and the guarantor of a peaceful night's sleep. President Zelensky even stated that he could grant General Kellogg citizenship if his presence in Ukraine would prompt Russia to cease fire.
Every time you're here, when you're in Kyiv under Kellogg, the people of Kyiv can actually get some sleep. Honestly, that's not really a joke at all. When a representative of the United States president is actually present in Kyiv, President Trump, as of now, there are no massive strikes taking place. In fact, the killers are currently refraining from killing. Well,
Although Kellogg himself on his way to Ukraine this time almost came under attack by Russian drones in Poland. The incident with Russian UAVs violating Polish airspace has not yet died down, and on Friday Kyiv welcomes the foreign minister of that country, Radosław Sikorski. Of course, the Russian drone attack was discussed during the meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky. Ukraine is ready to share its experience in shooting down drones as well as in building defense systems.
The Russian military provocation is directed against the United Front, the European Union, and the United States. NATO is not at war with Russia, but Russia is waging war against NATO through Ukraine. This situation has united Europe, Poland, and the NATO bloc. We will not abandon our Ukrainian friends and are ready to strengthen and expand our military cooperation in the defense sector.
And the powerful landing of friends of Ukraine from European countries continued. On Friday, partners from the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Italy, and Denmark arrived. These are countries that stand at the forefront of the coalition of the willing. The United Kingdom announced a new major package of sanctions against Russia. Notably, the chief British diplomat arrived in Kyiv just a week after being appointed to this position. With Denmark's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Lars Løkke Rasmussen, the President of Ukraine discussed the continuation of defense assistance, Denmark's participation in joint weapons production, and support for Ukraine on its path to the EU. Olena Matsiutska, TSN 1+.
Boris Johnson greeted the dawn in Odesa. Photos and videos have appeared online showing the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, an ardent supporter of Ukraine, visiting the city on the Black Sea. This is Johnson's first visit to Odesa. He has already admired the city center and even managed to see a local attraction. He watched the sunrise on the seashore to the sounds of piano music and waves. Payments are only for those who work legally, earn at least half the minimum wage, and whose children attend a Polish school. These are the new rules for receiving assistance from the Polish government. They were adopted by the Polish Sejm. An exception will be made only for people with disabilities. For the rest of the Ukrainian refugees, the Polish authorities will check every month whether the recipients of assistance are working and whether they have left. Left Poland, for example. If they have left or are not working, the payments will be stopped. Opportunities for Ukrainians to receive medical assistance will also be limited. At the same time, the Sejm extended the legal status of Ukrainian stay until March 4th, 2026, in accordance with the decision of the EU Council. What do you think about these new rules? Write about it in the comments to this broadcast on YouTube. And of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. In the meantime, I continue with the TSN broadcast. $20 million hryvnias in bail have been posted for the scandalous former head of the Khmelnytsky Medical and Social Expert Commission. Tetiana Krupa is required to wear an electronic bracelet and surrender her passports so she cannot leave the country. This was reported by the Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office. Recently, the suspect. On the 1st of October 2024, she was released from the pre-trial detention center. She is charged with illegal enrichment. During searches, $6 million in cash were found. There were also millions in foreign currency accounts and also real estate in several countries. Tetiana Krupa was taken into custody with bail set at 500 million hryvnias. Gradually, the bail amount was reduced. A week ago, the court set it at only 20 million hryvnias, which had to be paid within 5 days. The suspects were released in the courtroom. Now, the SAP has reported that bail has been posted for Tetiana Krupa, and she is fulfilling the obligations imposed on her by the court. Russian Kamchatka has been shaken by another earthquake. Tremors with a magnitude of 7.4 occurred near the eastern coast of the peninsula. The Pacific Center, the Tsunami Warning Center, stated that the earthquake could pose a threat of giant waves. The video clearly shows how much it was shaking. Let me remind you, the previous powerful earthquake with a magnitude of 8.8 occurred in Kamchatka on July 30th. And it was the strongest event ever recorded since the year 1952. Variable cloudiness and comfortable autumn coolness. That's the kind of weather expected in Ukraine this weekend. The arrival of the atmospheric front was first felt in the west of the country, and today it has already gotten colder in the Kyiv, Zhytomyr, and Vinnytsia regions. So in these regions, meteorologists are forecasting occasional short-term showers, and in some places, even thunderstorms are possible. And on Sunday, September 14th, strong winds are also expected. In some areas, gusts will reach 15 to 17 meters per second. Finally, the region is expected to have dry, warm weather without precipitation. However, the Ukrainian Hydrometeorological Center says that true autumnal cold may arrive in Ukraine as early as the middle of next week.
We do not expect significant changes in temperature. It will stay about the same. Nighttime and early morning coolness will range from 8 to 16 degrees, and in the east from 5 to 11 degrees. It will be a bit cooler. During the day, in most regions, temperatures will be between 18 and 24 degrees. Tomorrow, in Zakarpattia and Odesa regions, surface air may warm up to 26 degrees.
Well, with that, I'm wrapping up this TCH broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss our live broadcasts. The next one is already today at 7:30 p.m. See you soon.